Hello everyone, welcome to lecture 2 of Lease Accounting AS19. Now in lecture 1 we studied the basic concept of lease. Okay, we studied what is a lease agreement, we studied which are the two types of lease, finance lease and operating lease. And we studied various terms. We studied the terms like guaranteed residual value, we studied the terms like minimum lease payments from lesser point of view, contingent rent, all the various terms also we discussed. We proceed further in the theory in the same AS19 today, and today we'll see the accounting part also. So all these things are very important from MCQ point of view. See that important things you all underline and remember it by heart. From MCQ point of view, they'll be asked in your exams. So lease includes hire purchase. This I discussed in the very first lecture, in the last lecture, in the beginning itself, that hire purchase agreement is like lease agreement only, and particularly finance lease is like hire purchase, wherein the buyer gets the ownership at the last installment. Here also the buyer gets the chance to buy the property after the payment of last installment. So the definition of a lease includes agreement for the hire of an asset, which contains a provision giving the hirer means the buyer, an option to acquire the title means the ownership. Okay, title all of you underline and write ownership. I repeat, title all of you underline and write ownership. To acquire the ownership to the asset upon the fulfillment of agreed conditions. These agreements are commonly known as hire purchase agreements. So the definition of lease will include hire purchase agreements also. Once again look at it. The definition of a lease includes hire agreements for the hire of an asset, which contain a provision giving the hirer an option to acquire title to the asset upon the fulfillment of agreed conditions. These agreements are commonly known as hire purchase agreements. Further, accounting for finance lease in the books of lessee. Now, first of all of you try to understand what was finance lease. Finance lease was as good as selling the asset. Okay, when does finance lease take place? What were the terms and conditions I discussed in the last lecture? Risk and rewards are to be borne by the lessee, means the buyer. Then buyer gets an option to buy the asset after the lease term is over. So finance lease hire purchase is as good as you are selling the asset to the lessee. Now understand, if you enter into an agreement of finance lease from the lessee's point of view, lessee means who is taking an asset, from lessee's point of view, it is as good as he is buying an asset. I repeat, it is as good as he is buying an asset. The only thing is, lease rental payments what he is paying will be treated as good as the EMIs, equated monthly installments, what he is paying for the owned asset, because he does get an option to buy the asset after the lease term is over. He can pay some guaranteed residual value also. All those things we studied in the last lecture. So very first you try to understand what is finance lease. Finance lease we studied in the last lecture. Risk and rewards belong to the lessee. He gets an option to buy the asset, means it is as good as you are selling the asset to the lessee and he's paying you the money in installments. Now when we do the accounting in the books of lessee, he has to record this item as an asset in his books. He has to provide depreciation on that asset, because it is as good as you are purchasing the asset. You are only the owner. The only thing is ownership you will get after you make the last lease payment and you pay some guaranteed residual value. Otherwise it is as good as you are the owner only. So here we go by the substance, not by the form. Okay, there is an accounting standard and there is an accounting concept also, that substance is over the form. So understand this. As it is already mentioned that legally the ownership of leased asset remains with the lessor, but risk and reward of leased asset is transferred to lessee. Therefore, substance of transaction is lessee becomes the owner, because risk and rewards belong to him. Hence the transactions are recorded by the substance and not by the legal form. So what entry do you pass? If you consider as if you are the owner of asset only, asset comes in, debit what comes in, asset account debit. I repeat, asset comes in, debit what comes in, asset account debit. Lessor is the giver, credit the giver to lessor account. At what value will you record this? All of you have to write this in your notebook preferably, and if you have the study material, then mark that important. If the journal entry is not written, then in your study material include this journal entry. Okay, you will record it at fair value of the leased asset at the inception of the lease. Means whatever asset you are giving to the lessee, whatever is the fair value at the inception, means beginning of the lease, or whatever is the present value of minimum lease payments from lessee's point of view. Okay, whichever is lower. In short, if you remember, in the last lecture I gave you an example that you take an asset of that car of some 50 lakhs on lease. So what is the fair value of that car at the inception of the lease? I gave you 50 lakhs. And then if you remember, I gave you one example where 10 lakhs what we were paying over the 7 years, we found out it's today's value, present value, where it was 9 lakhs, 8 lakhs, something like that. It was coming to 48.9 lakhs. So what was the present value of minimum lease payments from lessee's point of view? That 48.9 lakhs. Plus he also had guaranteed the residual value of 3 lakhs after the term is over. So from lessee's point of view, the present value of minimum lease payment is that 48.9 lakhs plus guaranteed residual value of 3 lakhs. That comes to 51.9 lakhs. So what was the fair value of that car? 50 lakhs. And what is the present value of that lease payments including that guaranteed residual value? 51.9 lakhs. We will record it at whichever is lower. Suppose the lessee guaranteed not 3 lakhs but only 1 lakh for it. Then 48.9 lakhs plus 1 lakh guaranteed residual value, the present value of minimum lease payment comes to 49.9 lakhs. Then you would record it at 50 or 49.9. Which one is lower? 49.9 lakhs. So remember this concept. What journal entry would be passed by the lessee in his books of account? You treat it like the owner of the asset. So asset comes in, debit what comes in, asset account debit, lesser is the giver, credit the giver to lesser account. With what value? Fair value of the leased asset at the beginning of the lease, or present value of minimum lease payments from lessee's point of view, whichever is lower. Now apportion of lease payments. Each lease payment is apportioned between finance charge. All of you underline finance charge and write interest over there. I repeat, all of you underline finance charge and write interest over there. So each lease payment is apportioned between finance charge and principal amount. Principal amount is reduced from the outstanding liability, and finance charge is allocated over the lease term in such a manner that it would produce a constant rate of return on remaining principal balance. I'll explain you this with the help of same example what I gave you in the last lecture. If you all remember this example I gave you in the last lecture for implicit rate of interest of 10%. This example fulfills the last condition. It produces a constant rate of return on remaining principal balance of 10%. You can see that every year 10% constant return is calculated on the remaining principal balance. So last condition is fulfilled in this example. Now understand this. Each lease payment is apportioned, means divided. I repeat, apportioned means divided between finance charge, means interest, and principal amount. Now all of you see on the left side at the top, suppose the fair value of the leased asset is 19,000. Annual lease payment is 6,000 for 4 years. So what is the lease payment every year? 6,000. Now they say this each lease payment means 6,000. In this sentence, each lease payment is 6,000. It is apportioned, means divided between finance charge, means interest, and principal amount. Now see on the right side. In the first year, what is the interest? 19,000's 10%, 1,900. So this lease payment of 6,000 you'll divide in two parts. Interest 1,900 and principal amount remaining 4,100. I repeat, each lease payment is apportioned, that is divided between finance charge and principal amount. So first year's lease payment 6,000 you'll divide in two parts. Out of 6,000, 1,900 is interest and remaining 4,100 is towards the principal. Now principal amount, that 4,100 is reduced from the outstanding liability. So from the outstanding liability 19,000 you deduct 4,100 in the first year. Okay, means in balance sheet liability side, first year you'll show the liability of 19,000, second year you'll show the liability of 19,000 minus 4,100, 14,900. Finance charge is allocated over the lease term. So we have already seen that. You can see what is the finance charge interest allocated over the lease term. First year you'll debit 1,900 of interest in P&L account. Second year 1490, third year 1039, fourth year there was a correction 543. So these amounts will debit to P&L account, because as you keep on paying the money, the amount keeps on decreasing, so interest burden also keeps on decreasing, and it is done in such a manner that it produces a constant return on the remaining principal balance. Okay, so once again, first year, how would you represent that lease payment of 6,000? 1,900 you'll debit to P&L account interest amount, and 4,100 you'll minus from the liability. Same way, if you see second year's lease payment, what is the interest? 1,490. So in second year out of 6,000, 1,490 we will debit in P&L account, and remaining amount 4,510 we will minus from the liability. In the third year out of 6,000, 1,039 we will debit in P&L account, and remaining amount, okay, 4,961 we will minus from the outstanding liability. And in the last year, out of 6,000, 543 of interest will debit to P&L account, and remaining amount 5,557 we will minus from the outstanding liability, so liability will become 0. This is the meaning of this paragraph. I hope everyone is clear. If not clear, rewind and listen to it once again. This can be asked in MCQ. How do you apportion the lease payment? So remember that lease payment is apportioned in two parts: finance charge, interest, and principal. Finance charge or interest you debit to P&L account every year, and principal amount you deduct from your liability every year. Next, the lessee in its books should charge depreciation on finance lease asset as per AS 6. I discussed with you. You debit asset account means you are going to show it on the asset side, so you will provide depreciation on also. It is just like you have purchased your asset. Initial direct cost for finance lease is included in asset under lease, means initial direct cost also you added in the cost of asset. Okay, that as we have been doing machine purchase, installation expense, we add in the cost of machine. Same way here also, initial direct cost will also be added in the cost of asset under the asset side. And contingent rent shall be charged to expense. We have studied contingent rent in the last lecture, the rent which is dependent on factors other than time. Like in Orbit Mall example I gave you, they charge rent on the basis of your sales volume or profit. That contingent rent shall be charged to expense, means it will be debited to P&L account. All these are very important from MCQ point of view. They can ask you initial direct cost of finance lease, how will the lessee record it? You say it will be recorded in assets. Then contingent rent, how will you record it? You will say charge to expense, means you will debit to P&L account. And this apportion of lease payment can also be asked. Now, same accounting for finance lease we study in the books of lessor. So lessor will also treat it like he is selling the asset to the lessee. Same finance lease means he will treat as if he has sold the asset to the lessee. So lessee is the receiver, debit the receiver, lessee account debit, asset goes out, credit what goes out to leased asset account. But lessor will record it at which value? He will record it at net investment. Now what is this net investment? Net investment is equal to, all of you can write these in your notebooks if you want, okay? Because from MCQ point of view, these all are very, very important. Net investment is equal to gross investment minus unearned finance income. Unearned finance income means interest. Interest which is not earned yet. It is going to be earned in future. What is gross investment? We studied in the last lecture if you remember. Gross investment in the lease is the sum of the following: minimum lease payment from lessor's point of view and unguaranteed residual value accruing to the lessor. I gave you that example also, that in that bike example, okay, I told you that in the bikes example, minimum lease payment were coming to 50,000 into 6 years. That Sholay example I gave you, Dharmendra, Amitabh Bachchan. That 50,000 bullet bike you're paying 6 installments yearly, so 3 lakh rupees, that is minimum lease payment. And Dharmendra or Amitabh Bachchan had guaranteed 30,000 scrap value at the end, whereas actual guaranteed value may come to 40,000. So unguaranteed was 10,000. Means here 3 lakh plus 10,000. 3 lakh 10,000 is the gross investment in the example I gave you. Now what is unearned finance income? Unearned finance income is gross investment, that 3 lakh 10,000 minus present value of gross investment. Suppose present value of that gross investment comes to 2 lakh 70,000. Then what is unearned finance income? Okay, presently the value is 2 lakh 70. Over a period of time you are going to receive 3 lakh 10,000. So how much is you have not earned right now? 40,000. That is your interest income you are going to receive over the lease period of time. So unearned finance income is that 40,000. Now if you read this complete portion, which is made so complicated by the accounting standard, What outcome do we conclude over here? We conclude that this present value of gross investment itself is equal to net investment. This present value of gross investment itself is equal to net investment, because what is net investment? Have a look at it again. Gross investment minus unearned finance income. What is unearned finance income? Gross investment minus present value of gross investment. Now you read it completely. Gross investment minus gross investment. Now minus will become plus present value of gross investment. So gross investment gets cancelled. Present value itself becomes the net investment. In short, you'll record it at 2,70,000. The present value of that 3,10,000. Okay, so they have made it complicated, but in short, present value of your gross investment itself is your net investment. Now, recognition of finance income as per AS 17. Recognition of finance income means that 40,000 rupees, how will we recognize? The lesser, 40,000 of interest income, how will lesser recognize in his books of account? Interest income. The lesser should recognize the finance income based on a pattern reflecting constant periodic return on the net investment outstanding in respect of finance lease. In simple words, interest or finance income will be recognized in proportion to outstanding balance receivable from lessee over the lease period. Just now in the previous slide, I gave you that example where in the first year the interest was coming to 1900, second year it was coming to somewhere 1390 and so on. Exactly same way lessor has to record the interest income in his books of accounts. Whatever lessee is going to record as interest in his books of accounts as an expense on the debit side, lessor would record the same amount as his income in P&L account on credit side. So the previous example what I gave you, 1900, 1390, 1039, 539 rupees, that amounts lessor will record as his income of interest in P&L account on credit side. That produces a constant periodic return on the net investment outstanding. Okay. Now, initial direct cost. What will lessee we discuss initial direct cost. What will lessee do? He will add it in the cost of asset, like I gave you that example of installation expense. What will lessor do with such kind of initial direct costs? For other than manufacturing or dealer lessor. Manufacturing or dealer lessor means the lessor who manufactures the products and keeps on selling it only, just like hire purchase. Let us say manufacturer of Whirlpool washing machines, okay, or the dealer of Whirlpool washing machines. So they are the manufacturer and they keep on selling such items on hire purchase agreement or lease agreements. But we are talking about other than manufacturer or dealer lessors, means other than the dealer and manufacturer of Whirlpool washing machine. If anyone else gives that washing machine on lease, then what effect will we give for initial direct cost? Initial direct costs are often incurred by the lessor and includes the amounts like such as commission, legal fees and internal costs that are incremental and directly attributable to negotiating and arranging a lease. They exclude the general overheads such as those incurred by sales and marketing. Now, marketing team and selling expenses won't be included in the initial direct cost. They are to be incurred. Marketing and general sales team expenses like telecalling the customer, reminding him again and again, taking his feedback, when will he come for buying the asset, etc. Those expenses are debited to P&L account. They are not included in initial direct cost. Okay. We are talking about what kind of initial direct costs? Commission, legal fees, such costs. Initial direct costs are included in the initial measurement of finance lease receivable. Like lessee includes it in the cost of asset, lessor will also include it in the cost of asset and include in the amount receivable from lessee. Then only lessee can include it in the value of asset. So lessor will be charging this initial direct cost from the lessee himself and will recover that amount from the selling price of that asset. So once again, underline the last sentence and mark it important. Initial direct costs are included in the initial measurement of the finance lease receivable and reduce the amount of income recognized over the lease term. For manufacturer or dealer lessor, now for the Whirlpool manufacturing company itself, for the dealer itself, their expense, because they have to incur initial direct costs, it is their business. So initial direct costs are recognized as an expense at the commencement of lease term, means they directly debited to P&L account because they are mainly related to earning the manufacturer or dealer selling profit. So underline recognized as an expense means manufacturer or dealer will directly debit that amount to P&L account, but other than that, the person will recover that amount from the lessee. Now we talk about operating lease. So finance lease accounting we have seen. Now we see how to account for operating lease. Now see, operating lease means what? Operating lease means you are not the owner. You are just paying the rent. That's it. You are just paying the rent. So who is the owner? Lessor himself. Now that's why first operating lease we see accounting in the books of lessor. In finance lease, first we saw the accounting in the books of lessee. But in operating lease, first we see the accounting in the books of lessor, because in finance lease, who is like the owner? Lessee. But in operating lease, who is the owner? Lessor. Okay. Operating lease means, remember that example of commercial, residential houses, commercial offices I gave you in the last lecture. They are operating lease, where you don't give the property on lease for entire term. You give for 3 years, 5 years, then you give it to someone else, then again you give it to someone else. So your lessor only remains the owner. Lessee is just like a tenant who comes, uses the asset for 3 years, then someone else comes, uses the asset for 3 years, and so on. So in the books of lessor, lessor is the owner. How will he record it? He will record the leased out asset as the fixed asset in the balance sheet, quite obvious because he is the owner. He will charge depreciation as per AS6. He will recognize lease income, means the rental income, in profit and loss account using straight line method. So whatever income, fixed income he is going to get every month or every year, that fixed income straight line method, he will credit to P&L account. Whatever rent he is receiving, he will credit to P&L account. If any other method reflects more systematic allocation of earning derived from the diminishing value of leased out asset, that approach can be adopted. Other costs of operating lease should be recognized as an expense in the year in which they are incurred. So if lessor does minor repairs to the property, plumbing, renovating, coloring, etc., and he is the owner of the property, he may have to do repairs again and again. That expenses you'll debit to P&L account in the year you incur them. Initial direct cost of the lease may be expensed immediately or deferred. You have two options. Initial direct cost means that commission, etc., okay, legal expenses, etc. Either you can debit them to P&L account in the same year, or you can defer. How can you defer? That is explained in the next sentence. If initial direct cost of lease shall be added to the carrying amount, underline carrying amount and write book value, of the leased asset and recognized as an expense over the lease term. So if you have given the property for 5 years lease, then that initial direct cost you can divide by 5, and that whatever amount comes after dividing by 5, that you can debit to P&L account in each of the 5 years. That is called deferred. Okay, so two things are there. Either entire amount you debit to P&L account in 1 year, then also it's fine, or else you show it on the asset side and divide it by 5. Equal amount you keep on debiting to P&L account over the next 5 years, like we used to do in advertisement suspense account. A manufacturer or dealer lessor does not recognize any selling profit on entering into an operating lease because it is not equivalent of sale. So no profit etc. is recognized. It is just like you have given the asset to use on rent. You only remain the owner of that asset. Now how will the lessee record this accounting for operating lease? He has taken the asset on rent, that's it. So whatever amount he is paying as lease rentals, that he will debit to P&L account. Lease payments should be recognized as an expense in the profit and loss account on straight line basis over the lease term. As I said to you, whatever rent you are paying, you will debit to P&L account each year, and that is going to remain fixed only. So straight line method. If in any other method is more representative of the time pattern of the user's benefit, such method can also be used. So in this lecture, we discuss only this accounting part of operating and finance lease. Just keep one thing in mind, accounting is very simple. If your concept of finance lease is clear, that finance lease is just like selling the asset to the lessee and he's paying the money in installments, you automatically understand how to do its accounting. And operating lease means as if you have given on rent. In the next lecture, last lecture, lecture 3, we are going to cover the most important point of this chapter, sale and lease back. So don't miss the next lecture. Okay, await for it. It is the most important, and I am going to give a trick to you to make that complex accounting treatment of sale and lease back in the last lecture very, very simple. I'm going to give you a trick for that. So wait for the last lecture. Okay. Bye everyone. See you in the next lecture. Take care.